Computer. Deadly. Hi, Laura. Thanks a mil for coming on to the podcast today.
Oh,
Is Laura is the founder of LoveJools, and she's also a holistic practitioner and healer as well. Laura, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more?
sure, yeah. So my name is Swaine Lawlor. I started LoveJools back in 2017, and then more recently, I started doing a lot of holistic courses myself, and then it kind of escalated from there. Um, and then at one stage, then I really had to call them into play for myself. So I'll tell you that story as well. Yeah, so my Love Jewels business was my first one that I set up in 2007, and I set that up when I was on a weight loss journey myself. I was originally I wanted to lose a stone and a half, and I went along to Weight Watchers when I was about 18 or so, and I was given 21 paper clips by the Weight Watchers leader, and you to clip them all together, and then at the end of every week after when you weighed in, you took off paper clips. So visually, I got a great kick out of this every week, and I then like fast forward to 10 years, I was getting married and I wanted to lose a stone, and I decided to get the paper clips out again. But then I remembered that I actually had a bracelet at home that I could take beads on and off. So at the end of every week, I'd be sitting there at the group with the girls I'd made pals with, and I'd be adding my beads on every time I had a loss. And they're like, "What are you doing every week?" And I was like, "Well," I told them the whole concept, and they loved the idea. So I went and got them bracelets and gave them the little tool that I was finding really helpful. And they loved it, and they were saying, you need to go on Instagram, you need to set this up. Loads of people would benefit from this. And that's really where Love Jewels was born from. So my background is actually in construction, and I was still working full time, and it was just kind of a side gig. I set up the website myself, and I have no business experience whatsoever, and it kind of just all grew from there. So I suppose it's kind of been a streak of luck and a good idea combined, and a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea. So just to, I suppose, to give you an insight to where I met Laura at a Leo course that we did a few weeks ago. And when you have to do your introduction, who you are, and when I heard your story, I was like, oh my God, that is such a good idea for my own clients, and just for anyone giving up cigarettes or anything. You can use the bracelets. I thought it was such a brilliant idea. And the sign is on because your Instagram page is growing, and it's you have a massive audience, which is great. And the business seems to look like it's still flying, even with this whole pandemic going on. You're still flying it, which is great.
Yeah, very, very grateful for that. Yeah. So I think at the moment I'm using my bracelet. One, I use it to track my health appointments, but also I've been using it since I signed up with yourself in March, and I've been doing the online classes. And with the pandemic, then obviously we have so much time on our hands. I've been trying to get out for walks to stay sane. So I'm using it now at the moment, rather than for weight loss. I'm using it just to keep me, for a reminder, to keep myself motivated and accountable to get out for that walk that keeps me sane every day.
Yeah,
so
it's good.
Kind of just one day at a time, one bead at a time, stay sane.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all you can do, is one day at a time. Laura, you mentioned that you have a bead for your health checkups. So I only found out this only a few days ago, actually. Was it last week or the week before, when you mentioned, I asked you what the one was on your bead, and you said that you're 1 year cancer free. Is that right?
Yeah. So, okay, so if I rewind a little bit, so when I said I was working full time as well as the Love Jewels business, I was in the corporate world in a large multinational engineering company, and it was a really, really stressful job. I was working crazy hours, and most of the times I was just kind of like grabbing crap food from the garage next door. I wasn't eating properly, wasn't eating healthy foods. I was like, my family life was quite stressful at the time as well, because my mum was in the middle of a divorce from my stepdad, and there was just so much stress going on. So and I also, before I set up LoveJools, I'd just done a master's while working full time as well. So I'd had quite a few years of just stress on top of stress on top of stress on top of stress. And it just really, really lowered my immune system. So then fast forward to January last year, and I went, well, actually July in 2018, I went for my normal regular smear. I hadn't missed any smears. I had always went for every 3 years when you get the reminder. And then I got a call in the October to say there was abnormal cells and you need to go for a colposcopy. So my friend had been for a colposcopy before. She told me what was involved, and I went along in the November, and then the I probably shouldn't have, but the lady who was doing the colposcopy, she kept saying to me, "My God, your cervix is huge," and I didn't know whether I didn't know whether it was a compliment or an insult.
I've never heard that before. I've never, I suppose.
So I was just thinking, geez, would you stop saying that and tell me if it's good or bad? I don't know. So anyway, I kind of knew from her reaction it was bad anyway. And she said to me, because of the size of your cervix, I'm going to have to do 2 biopsies instead of 1. She said, before she'd done the colposcopy, she said to me, look, the smear is not diagnostic, so it may have been a misreading, so you might not have any problems, or you might just have SIN1. So if you have SIN1 abnormalities, then the procedure is just to leave you, bring you back in a year's time and see if anything has happened, because a lot of people's bodies can fight it themselves. But with my immune system being what it was, obviously it couldn't. So then if you have SIN2, then they will give you LETs, where they just remove the abnormal cells. And then SIN3, obviously it's more serious, because if you don't treat SIN3 cells, within 10 years they become cancer. Okay. So she said, look, when we do the colposcopy, we'll be able to diagnose what SIN you're at. If any, she said that you might not even have abnormal cells, the smear can be wrong. So she done the colposcopy. Then she said to me, as soon as she looked at it, she said, no, they're definitely SIN3. I still wasn't worried at this stage. I was like, okay, well, it can be treated, it's fine. 10 years before it becomes cancer, but loads of time, not quite. So that was in the November. She said to me, you'll be 6 to 8 weeks waiting for results. And I had results within 10 days. So I knew that wasn't good. I was a bit panicked. So then I had to go back to the, I don't know what you call it, the consultant. And the consultant said, you're going to need to have a LETs procedure to remove the abnormal cells. So because I had found the colposcopy quite painful, they put me asleep for the LETs procedure. Then was December when I had the LETs procedure, and they decided to do a little bit extra, seeing as I was already asleep. So as well as doing the LETs procedure to remove the abnormal cells, they also they done an investigation under anesthesia, where they put a scope into your womb and have a look around. And then if they see any thickening around the womb, they just scrape it off and send it off for testing in the lab. So they found some endometriosis, which I didn't know I had. They sent that off to the lab. They also done pelvic ultrasound. So the pelvic ultrasound showed up a cyst there on my ovary. So they said to me, okay, operation went well, everything's fine. The only thing is we have better ultrasound machines in the X-ray department than we do in the theatre. So, you know, I'm going to schedule you in for another pelvic ultrasound to check the cyst. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, but we just want to be double sure. I said, no problem. Went along on my own because I didn't think anything of it. And there was a letter at the X-ray department waiting for me. And when I opened it up, it said, you know, sorry for the short notice, but you need to come to colposcopy tomorrow. So I rang them and I said, I'm already over in the hospital at the X-ray department where you left the letter. I can't take another day off work tomorrow. So will you give me an appointment for next week?
We'll do it now.
So then when I went They said, no. Oh, no, the receptionist said, oh, I'll go and ask the nurse for you and I'll ring you back. And then she rang me back and she said, no, look, the nurse herself rang me back, no, not the receptionist. And she said, you need to come in tomorrow. You can't, I will give you a letter for work. You can't put it off. And also bring somebody with you because you won't take it all in by yourself. So I just knew then, like, that was not going to be good news. So I went back the following day with Jer, and she was quite blunt, to be honest. She more or less just said to me, this was the lady who had done my surgery. And she said to me, like, you know, the tissue we sent off to the lab, which I didn't even know they had sent tissue off to the lab. I thought the operation was the treatment and then that was the end of it, because it wasn't cancer, it was just pre-cancer.
Yeah.
But then she said, look, we sent tissue off to the lab and it came back, it is cancer. I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know they were looking for cancer. I just was like, what the hell? So she said to me, look, you need to come back and talk to the oncologist tomorrow, because I don't deal with the inside of the womb. I only deal with the cervix, the outside of the cervix. So come back tomorrow and talk to the oncologist, and you're going to need a hysterectomy.
Wow.
So yeah, so I was just like, what? Where the hell did this come from? So she said, don't worry about it, because lots of women would prefer to use a surrogate anyway.
Wow, that was blunt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What?
She was very, very blunt. So
Oh
she
my,
said,
I can't believe she said that.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Here you go. Here's a bag of coal and I landed on top of your head, and here's another. Wow. Wow.
yeah, so wasn't expecting that whatsoever. So after she finished like talking to us, then Jerry just kind of said to her, wait, no, hang on, sorry. Are you saying that she has cancer? Like, because we were totally just,
Shocked.
what the hell? And so the next day, anyway, I went back to meet the oncologist. They gave us an appointment for like 7 in the evening. It was really weird. It was like they squeezed us in after his clinic or something. I don't know. But we went back at 7 in the evening, the following evening. And he said, I think he must have known the manner of the doctor I had spoke to the day before, because he just said to me straight away, I won't say her name, but he said, what did Dr. Such and Such say to you yesterday? And I told him, and he kind of just looked at the floor and he said, you may need a hysterectomy, but you may not need a hysterectomy.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, what is going on? So he said, look, the two outcomes are, one, you may need, he said, we're going to do another surgery, and we're going to try this cone biopsy where we remove more of your cervix, and we will send it off to the labs. We'll see if we manage to get clean margins. If we did get clean margins, you might have a small window where you can have a pregnancy and manage it with the hospital, and then get a section and a hysterectomy. If you don't have clean margins, it's a straight away hysterectomy. So
Okay.
we're going to try the minor surgery first. So I was like, okay. So at this stage, I left the hospital and I just went straight into like, I don't know, positive thinking mode, if that makes sense. Like I was really just focused on the positive option of you'll have a small window, blah, blah. I don't have children. I hadn't made a decision. I still haven't made the decision. And I was like, okay, but that's the better of the two decisions. So I'm going to go for that. And then if I get that option, then I can make a decision.
Focus on the positive, which is hard, but at least he gave you that window where before it was like, no, that was very abrupt. That was very abrupt.
Very, it was just like, what the hell
Which,
happened?
if that's the case, fair enough. But if there's another option that you can focus on and have a positive, gee, even better again. Fair play to the doctor.
So, so we went along anyway with the positive option. I was just thinking that constantly. I'd done so many different things while at the time the nurses were striking, so I couldn't get an appointment for my surgery. And he had said to me, you need to get in for your surgery as a priority. It's really urgent. You need to get in as soon as possible. So you need to you know, this is your liaison officer. So he gave me a liaison nurse, and you need to liaise with, her name was Laura as well. You need to liaise with Laura, Laura's going to get you booked in. Any questions you have, you can direct them all through Laura, blah, blah. So we had each other's phone number. We were texting each other over and back. I had poor Laura absolutely haunted for an appointment to get the surgery. Yeah. And there was nothing Laura could do because the nurses were all on strike. The theatres were closed. So it was just, it actually just got to the point where I was literally just driving down to the Coombe where I was being treated and just saying, look, I'm not leaving until you give me an appointment. Like, I understand the nurses have to strike, and they were right to strike because they are completely underpaid, but I need to get in for.
And did you get the surgery?
So I got in anyway. I got the surgery on 4th February, which happens to be like World Cancer Day. What's the chances?
What's the chances?
Yeah. So got in, got the surgery, went home, waited a few weeks for the results. But while I was waiting for the results, and while I was waiting for the surgery also, I went to a meditation with my Reiki master, and had a really, really powerful experience there. Like, we were walking into a cabin and asking, who's in there and who's going to help me and blah, blah, blah. And then I just felt this really, like, a fire, like it was literally like I was on fire, like there was a really strong pain in my stomach. Like, it was like where you would get a period pain, but it was not a period pain.
So you were, sorry Laura, so you were holistic trained at this stage and with Reiki, is that right?
Yeah, so I had done all my holistic training for myself because my life was like quite full of stress at the time. So I actually done that holistic training to help myself with stress relief and to try and improve my immune system. But at this stage, I went along to the meditation. I had this like really strong burning sensation. I actually thought it's so painful I would have to open my eyes. So that was one experience. I was going to the kinesiologist. I was going for acupuncture. I was going for reflexology. My friend is Reiki trained as well, so she came over and she was doing Reiki on me in my house. And like, I was really, really conscious of my nutrition. I literally didn't eat anything that wasn't
nutritious.
Like anything that was processed, I just literally ate all fresh food. Like, obviously not raw food, but cooked food, but nothing processed whatsoever. I completely cut out any fizzy drinks, sugar, anything. Anything that was not
supporting nutritious. You. Yeah, was going to support you. Yeah.
So for the weeks that I was waiting for the operation, I was doing all these things, and then I got the operation, and then I recovered quite fast. Like, I was able to go back to work part-time within 6 weeks of my surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, and then 4 weeks after that, then I went back full-time. Now, I do think I done things too fast, but I do definitely think that it was all of the treatments that I was getting and the support I was giving my body that was actually helping me to recover faster. But also, when I got the results from the doctor from the surgery, I got a third option that hadn't even been on the cards. So he said to me, you don't need to have a hysterectomy. Thank God. I said, okay, so what's my small window? And he said, no, you don't have a small window. And I said, what do you mean? They were the two options. And he said, no, you're just back to normal, and you don't need to have a small window. You don't need to have an operation. That's it. You're done. So I was like completely flabbergasted because that wasn't even on the cards.
So what happened then? So, because I'm fixated now on the meditation and the fire in your belly, because I know how powerful meditation is, because I kind of practice a meditation I haven't done in the last few weeks, and I think that's why my immune system's getting low. So you had before the surgery, you were meditating and kind of getting your body in tune and all this, and then you had the surgery, and then they took all the cancer out, is it?
Yeah.
And then it was gone.
And then it was gone. So I didn't need to have chemo. I didn't need to have radiation.
Wow.
I literally, it was just, cancer one day and none the next, basically. So the surgery was enough but he did say to me, look, whenever you decide if you're going to have children or not, then have the hysterectomy afterwards, or else if you decide you're not having children, have a hysterectomy, because it is the only way you can guarantee it won't ever come back.
Oh, so you can have one child and then hysterectomy?
No, I can have whatever I want.
As many.
yeah, but well, I don't know. I've never tried, so hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, so you can have as many and then hysterectomy, so it won't come back.
Yeah,
Ah,
exactly.
okay, that makes sense. That
So
makes sense.
he just said, whenever you've made your decision, if you don't want children, have a hysterectomy. If you do
Yeah,
want children, have them and then a hysterectomy. But the hysterectomy is the only way to guarantee it won't ever
it
come
won't
back.
come back.
But sure, then I was a nervous wreck saying, well, if the smear didn't pick it up, so actually I should tell you that as well. The reason the smear didn't pick it up was because it was up higher in my cervix. The smear only takes the neck of your cervix, but mine was up higher into my cervix, and it was actually in the skin and the glands. So usually you get one or the other. You get skin cancer or glandular cancer in your cervix, but I had both. So that was quite unusual. And I think it was only when it started to come to the outside of the cervix, it had already like moved quite far along to be able to pick it up on the smear. So I said to him, well, if it was only caught by chance, because I had found the colposcopy painful and been put asleep, if I hadn't have been, they wouldn't have taken the extra tissue and it wouldn't have been found. And he said, yeah, you were really, really lucky. I said, okay, so that's great, but how are you going to make sure it doesn't come back? How are you going to know if it
Yeah.
comes back? Because the smear isn't going to pick it up. And he said, well, the only really thing is to do a HPV test every 6 months, because cervical cancer is caused by HPV. So if you catch HPV active, then you're kind of identifying the problem before it becomes a problem. Now, I never asked what if it is active, or what if you do have HPV, then what happens, or can you, because I don't think there's an antibiotic you can take for HPV or anything like that. It's a virus, and once it's in your body, it's like the herpes virus on your coat, so you can't ever get it,
It's there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did say to him, like, why would I have been, prone to getting this?
Yeah.
And because I wanted to see if there's anything I could do to prevent it coming back,
Yeah.
And he said, well, usually people with an underlying condition, like maybe if they're a smoker or they have bad arthritis, or a low immune system, and then the alarm bells just went off, and I was like, okay, it's my immune system, that's what gave up. Like,
The
so
immune
I
system,
knew,
okay. That it
yeah. So
triggered it. That the low immune system triggered it. Is that right? Would that be
the
right?
low immune system just meant that my body couldn't fight it, because he said 80% of people have HPV at some stage in their life. But most people, this is what she was saying as well about the sin one, most people's body can reverse it themselves.
Fight it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is interesting, because this is the whole thing that I wanted to know and I get across to people is,
Yeah.
we all have, they reckon we all have some sort of cancer in our body. It's just we're able to fight it if we keep up our immune system.
Yeah.
And I noticed when this pandemic happened, you were putting up immune boosting videos on your Instagram. So that's why I was
Yes.
like, oh God, people need to know this, because my immune system is shot now for the time
Yeah.
being, but I'm building it back up. So
Yeah.
my go-tos is I'm not drinking alcohol now until my cold sores are cleared and my immune system's up, because I know
Yeah.
alcohol shoots your vitamin
Lowers
C
your immune
by
system.
half. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with yourself, and I know another lady as well who currently has cancer and has kept it at bay for the last 12 years, and how and how she's doing that is vitamins, fruit, veg, alcohol, everything's limited. Everything is completely limited, but she's filling herself with nutrition, and she's managing her stress as well. So with yourself, I think what I'm taking from this is meditation, good food, relieve your stress as much as you can, and positive thinking.
Yes.
That's what I'm kind of taking from this.
Yeah, exactly. That's really definitely what I think cured me. Obviously, the doctor's surgery cured me as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that they went hand in hand. I don't think the doctor's surgery would have been as successful if I hadn't done all the other stuff. And I also think if I had just done all the other stuff and not had the surgery, I would have been in serious trouble. So I think
recovery. So just to get a time frame, so you were diagnosed in January 2019, is that right? Or where they said you're going in for surgery, was that?
So I had the smear in July 18. I had the results in October 18. Am I right? Yeah. And then I had the colposcopy in November 18. Then I had my first surgery in December 18.
Okay.
Then I found out it was actually cancer in January 19.
Okay.
And I had my second surgery in February 19.
So
So
it's a short window where
yeah.
where what I'm trying to get across is it's a short window where if you have two personalities, one where, okay, I need to fix this, or two where you stay in bed and your immune system gets shot even further. So I
Mhm.
suppose if anyone's listening to this, has an immune disorder, has been diagnosed with cancer, or has the coronavirus or whatever, now it's, you can fix yourself or try and boost your immune system through.
Yeah. And even just doing those little things and giving you back that control is really just good to put you in a good space mentally. Just to be like, there's so many things at the moment we don't have any control over whatsoever, but we do have control over how we react to it. So if we're reacting to it by looking after ourselves, that's a huge amount of control we can take back.
Yeah. And I suppose when people hear looking after ourselves, because Facebook and social media are great, but I find sometimes it puts too much pressure on you to be this
Yeah.
ideal world of, I keep on mentioning the Super Bowl porridge because that's unrealistic, like that you have an hour to prepare this bowl of 1,000 calories.
Make
That
it look
doesn't,
Instagram pretty.
yeah, where it's simple things like meditation. Like this morning, I really needed to reset. So this morning I went, okay, what am I missing that I normally do that keeps me relaxed? And
Mhm.
one of the things you gave me is the viral lip that has Melissa on it. So I
Yes.
put on my Melissa oil at the back of my neck, which I find
Yeah.
is a nice trigger because I found a little lump at the back of my neck and I know it's cortisol. I know it's stress.
Okay.
I
Right.
know it's stress. So that I've been massaging that little lump at the back of my neck and it's actually gone down with the
Oh,
oil.
brilliant. Yeah.
And this morning I got up and I went breathing. I went on the floor and I went stretching and breathing and then put on the
Hmm.
oil. And I
Hmm.
just felt like it was a trigger to go, oh my God, I'm relaxed.
Yeah. So, right, your body has two um, functions, I suppose. Well, it has a lot more than two functions, but if you break it down, it's like growth and repair or fight and flight. Two modes, I suppose we'll call them. So, when we get stressed, our body automatically goes into fight or flight. So, if you're constantly in fight or flight, your blood becomes quite acidic because you're taking shallower breaths, unknown to yourself. You're not consciously taking shallower breaths, but it's just what happens to your
Yeah.
body. So your body produces too much adrenaline, it produces too much cortisol, the stress hormones. And if you think about when our human bodies evolved to create adrenaline, it was back when there were we were prey, so there were actually
We're in
real
trouble.
danger. There was real dangers. So when our body like perceived these real dangers, the adrenaline would come flying through and the cortisol would come flying through your body, and it would pull all of the blood and energy and glucose from all of your organs, like say your digestive system, because you're not going to be like stopping to have a wee if there's a dinosaur chasing you or whatever. So you're like, it pulls everything, gets
Yeah.
pulled and pushed to your muscles so that you can either fight or flee and get out of the situation. But we're probably like just sitting at it on the couch, stressing out over all this, watching Netflix. We're not doing anything with all of that adrenaline and cortisol that's flying around our body. So even just going for a little 5 minute walk just disperses all that energy, and it gets you to reset, and you're in a much better place mentally. Do you ever feel like you're having a really shit day and you put your runners on, go for a little 5 minute walk, and it just completely changes your day?
Yeah.
Because you're just turning off all those hormones that are being produced to stress you out, and you're just dispersing them rather than. That's why desk jobs are so unhealthy. Like my desk job for so many years was really unhealthy because you've got these deadlines, your body perceives them as a stress. But because you've got the deadline, you can't get up and walk around to disperse any of these adrenaline or cortisol hormones.
Or reset.
Yeah, you can't because you have to meet the deadline. So you're just sitting there with all this stuff built up in your muscles and your body that needs to be discharged, and
Dispersed.
you can't. So that's why the desk jobs are really, really unhealthy. But um, the other one that I was talking about was growth and repair. So that's where we want to be. We want to be in growth and repair. So just a little tip for anybody, and you can do it anywhere. Um, there's a nerve in your body called the vagus nerve, and it's the longest nerve in your body. It goes all the way from your brain, all the way down through it touches every single organ, all the way down to your bladder. And that is the nerve that is responsible for kicking your body from fight or flight back into growth and repair. So there's two ways we can access that nerve, and one is the palate of your mouth and one is under your tongue. So if you think about it, you know when you're falling asleep and you start to drool because your body is really, really relaxed, okay? That's under your tongue. That's activating the vagus nerve.
Wow. I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, so one thing that you can do, and it sounds really gross, but it is, like, you don't need to have any tools. You can do it anywhere, so it's really helpful. If you think of something like a lemon or something that makes your mouth salivate, and then just let your tongue sit into the excess saliva, that activates the vagus nerve and it relaxes your body, puts you back into growth and repair.
Wow.
The other simple one is just taking a few really deep breaths. Now, some people hold their breath. I don't hold my breath because I don't think the body should ever stop. You know, it's natural to breathe in and out, not to
Yeah.
hold it. So just a few deep breaths, again, it activates the vagus nerve because it stops you from the short breathing that makes your blood acidic. And acidic blood will eventually lead to serious illnesses like cancer. That's why a lot of people eat an alkaline diet as well.
Yeah, I
But
love alkaline. I would have started on when I first became into fitness and everything 10 years ago, I would have practiced the alkaline diet myself to try
okay,
alkaline. Now I still practice it a little bit. I have my lemon in the water in the morning. I try alkaline my body as quick as I can. Lemon, warm water, all that malarkey, get the green powder in
yeah,
and the
and good for your
breathing.
immune system as well.
Yeah, so I try alkaline it in the morning, but as the evening goes along, then it does get a bit more acidic, and that's okay. But I find once I start off good,
Yes,
I feel like I'm giving myself a good chance.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um,
the vagal nerve. The first time I heard of the vagal nerve was the Wim Hof breathing. When one of the girls introduced me to the Wim Hof breathing, and we did it at a conference I was at in January this year,
okay.
and I was like, got this massive, like as you said, it was like when you did your what did you do there when you were doing?
Meditation.
Yeah, I got this massive awakening meditation doing the Wim Hof
Mm,
breathing, and I never ever
yeah.
experienced it before, to the point where I was crying. I don't know why I was crying. I don't know. And I
You
come
must
out.
have needed it.
Yeah, I came out of the breathing, and the room was full of 300 people, and I just went. I need to cry, and I went to the bathroom, and there was just
Oh.
tears rolling. But I didn't see anything in my meditation. I didn't see anything that would make me cry. But I
Yeah.
suppose it was my body's way of going. Must have been stress there from something that just went.
Mm,
But
yeah.
this is really good tips now for people, I think, working at home or kids at
Mm-hmm.
home where they'll be highly stressed, and that you don't want that fight or flight response all the time there that will cause your
No.
blood to be acidic. So I suppose walking in the morning straight away if they get
Yeah.
stressed might be a good tip.
Yeah.
Get out straight away. Make,
Definitely. So yeah, just your little walks. They don't have to be anything major or long. Even obviously, if you have time to go for a long walk, that's great. But as I said, like the amount of pressure on people, do this, do that, do the other. But like just a little walk, just taking a few deep breaths activates the vagus nerve as well. The thinking of lemons to salivate. The other one as well is to activate the palate of your mouth. It's just to hold warm water, not boiling water, but hold warm water in your mouth for a few minutes, and that activates the vagus nerve as well. Then the other one as well would be a little reflex point on your hand. That's very helpful. So if you put your like a fist where your middle finger hits your palm of your hand, yeah,
yeah.
that is, it's slightly off center, but it's the solar plexus reflex on your hand. So you can just use the thumb of your other hand and rub that point three
Massage
times.
it.
Yeah, 3 times clockwise and 3 times anti-clockwise. And your solar plexus are a big bundle of nerves that are just right below your chest. So you're really going to be relaxing your nervous system if you're working that point. And
Okay.
then you can take a nice big deep breath and just hover over the point. And as you do your out breath, you press the point.
Okay, so for the listeners, because the video people are going to see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, okay, if you're sitting down listening to this, obviously not driving, eyes open, the whole shebang. So you have to do it when you're sitting down. So your finger, your middle finger,
Yeah. like you're making a fist, but where your middle finger hits your palm of your hand.
Yeah. So you grab that point with your other thumb
Yeah.
and
Massage it 3 times clockwise and 3 times anti-clockwise.
okay, so breathing clockwise, what do you do?
You don't have to do anything with the breathing when you're doing the clockwise ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then you can just take a nice deep breath in after you'd finished doing your clockwise movements. And then on the out breath, you just give it a press.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah, it's quite easy, and it's just a little tool that you don't need anything. You could do it even if you're standing in the queue outside Super Value, or if you just start feeling overwhelmed, you can do it anywhere and nobody's going to even know what you're doing. They're not going to think you're crazy.
Okay, so you could call it the reset button, I
Yeah,
suppose, to
exactly. Yeah.
reset your nervous system or your vagal nerve. So
Yeah.
you press that point,
Hmm.
massage 3 times clockwise, 3 times anti-clockwise, and then press
Yeah.
on the breath out.
Yeah.
Deadly, I'm going to try that.
Yeah. So
I
that's a
like,
really good little
yeah,
reflex point.
I like little tools. It's easy, like breathing,
Yeah,
something you have
exactly.
on you already that you don't have
Yeah.
to. And
You
like
don't.
you gave 3 simple tips there now that you don't need anything. Imagine the lemon, so you create saliva,
Yeah.
warm water, or the
Hmm.
reset button on your palm. I like that.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
breathing.
My mom suffers really bad with like anxiety. Well, she used to, but since she started doing that, she's just seen major improvement. Like she would actually get physical pains in her solar plexus if she got really anxious or stressed. But now
Okay.
since she started doing that, she's really, really found it helps. So I know it's
Yeah.
proven to work.
No, it definitely works because when I had my final official divorce last year, I was
Mhm,
getting really stressed.
mhm.
I was not to the point I was getting cold sores because I could feel it coming, so I was trying to stop it. So one of the
Yes.
girls did a Zoom call breathing technique, and so
Yeah.
we did this Zoom call on the Wednesday. The court hearing was the following Tuesday. So for every day, I practiced the breathing morning and nighttime, and I was a different person the following week.
Yeah.
So it's something, it's like exercise, it's like healthy eating. It's not going to be one meal that's going to make you healthy. It's not going to be one piece of fruit that's going to keep you cancer free and keep your alkaline. It's everyday practice. So
Hmm.
I think the breathing, I have to get back to that myself. So this is a nice reminder to
Yeah.
morning time breathing, middle of the day and at night time. So I'm
Yeah.
training the vagal nerve to relax. So,
Yes, definitely. And another thing as well about like social media constantly putting pressure on us to be
yeah,
like positive
perfect.
all the time,
We can't.
no. And I seen a really good one yesterday on Instagram actually, and it said like being positive all the time is not possible, but being a positive person is just realizing that even if you're having a shit day today, there are better days to come. So I kind of liked that because if you are having a shit day, you need to just go with it and you need to feel
Yeah,
it and acknowledge it. And you can make a conscious decision that tomorrow will be a better day, but
yeah,
you can't dismiss if you're having a crap day either. You have to, you have to let it happen too.
yeah.
So like,
Or
don't
go
be
into
feeling.
bed, have a bath, like watch a
Yeah.
movie. Like it's okay. I used to be terrible for not stopping, where now I'm like, it's
Mm.
okay to sit down and veg with a book or a movie or something because that's your
Yeah.
system needs to relax. Because I'd be very
Yeah.
fight and flight all the time. So I
Mm.
find it hard to relax and I'm very conscious that it could potentially make me sick if I don't look after it. Do you know that kind
Yes.
of way?
Yeah. And the solar plexus is one point where a lot of stress manifests, and a lot of, if you think about like the likes of IBS or ulcers or constipation, which are all results of stress, they all start in the solar plexus. So that's why it's just a really good point for your whole system.
There is it.
Yeah, just where your finger meets
So
your
that's
palm.
that's called the solar plex in your palm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And in real life, it's just right below your chest.
Okay. Because I'd have some girls with me for a while, members, and they would suffer with a little bit of IBS and stuff like that. So
Mm.
okay. And I suppose another thing we can touch on as well is like because physical proper exercise is stress on the body, which
Mm.
is good to release a bit of extra stress. But if you're using exercise every day if you're fresh out of the box, because now everyone has loads of time, I
Yeah.
don't recommend from a personal trainer point of view, I don't recommend you put yourself through vigorous workouts every day starting off, especially
Yeah.
if you're highly stressed because your body's not getting time to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely if you find that you've loads of time in your hands and you're out running for the first time, maybe every second day, So you give
don't overdo it.
give your body a chance to recover and
Yeah.
rest, or otherwise you'll get burnout, because you can get burnout from exercise as well. 100%.
Definitely.
I know you can. I've done it. Yeah, this
I think
is
some people have a really addictive personality, and once they find exercise, they can really, like,
lean on it.
yeah, and it's quite an addictive high, isn't it? The high you get from exercise.
Yeah, I can understand if someone's given up cigarettes or alcohol. It's a really good tool to use in instead of drinking or smoking. But it's just to give yourself rest days, either with a light walk in between, so your body's at rest and digest. So I've learned that that's a big mistake I would have made in the past. Exercising for 6 days, not resting, burning out, and then the cycle starts then of, not looking after yourself, eating crap food and stuff like that. Laura, you gave loads of tips there. I'm just seeing what other. So we talked about simple things you can do to boost your immune system, or to the vagal nerve, because I think the vagal nerve is really important that people need to know.
Yeah.
For me,
definitely.
For me, that's like plugging in a Christmas tree. The vagal nerve to me is like the main plug for plugging in 3 sets of Christmas lights on a Christmas tree. I'm going to think of it as that way. And
I like that.
yeah, so we either want the lights on for fight or flight, or we want them off.
Yeah. And like, stress is good. We do need a certain amount of stress.
A little bit.
If we didn't have the adrenaline or the cortisol hormones, we wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning. So we need a small bit, but we need to acknowledge when it's healthy stress or unhealthy stress.
Yeah.
And just reset.
Yeah. Are you plugging in the lights and lighting up the whole town, or are you like just shining a little brighter?
Yeah.
You need a little bit. You need maybe 2 or 3 bulbs on in the Christmas tree, but not 1,000 bulbs. So foods then, Laura, because I don't know how long we're on now. Let me see. Probably gives the time frame here. Sure, we'll keep going anyway for another few minutes. So just foods, Laura, then.
So to boost the immune system, we need to have vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. Zinc is a nutrient, it's not a vitamin, but it helps you to absorb the vitamin C. And the 3 of those are really, really important for your immune system. So like foods that have vitamin C would be citrus fruits. So even small things like putting a slice of lemon in your water.
Yeah.
Strawberries, black currants, actually red peppers as well. So like, if you're making a curry or something, just, you can do a little bit extra by putting in a red pepper just to give you some extra vitamin C. Vitamin D3 is really good for the immune system, which is in oily fish, but really we need strong sunlight to get the right amounts. And I don't like to encourage anybody to supplement, because it's better to try and do it if you can with your diet. There are always cases you need to supplement, but I'm not trained to tell people to take a supplement. But I personally do take a vitamin D3 supplement, because you need at least 20 minutes a day with your sleeves rolled up and strong sunlight to get enough vitamin D to have a healthy immune system. So I just bought a little spray of D3 in the health shop for 10 quid, and I just spray it under my tongue once a day. The other thing is zinc. Yeah. So zinc is in like beef, bread, ham, cheese, and if you're vegetarian, it's in raw veg and green leafy veg as well. So it's usually actually is in the soil, but we don't really get enough zinc at the moment. Anyway, it's the way everything is like over processed, or it's all complete. The soil is just really depleted from being overused, and there's just really not enough zinc in what we're getting. So we have to be really conscious to make sure that we are eating a lot of foods that are rich in zinc, so that we can absorb the vitamin C, so that we can have the healthy immune system. So vitamin C, vitamin D3, and zinc would be the vitamins and nutrients for immune system boosting.
Would you supplement zinc just with the whole thing with the process? You do, yeah. Is it just a tablet or?
Yeah, I actually go to a kinesiologist, and I go to her like once every few months and just check. And sometimes I don't need the zinc, and other times I do. So I always check that I'm actually taking supplements I need. I don't just go to the health shop and think I'll have this. It's not a sweet shop. I do check. I do get bloods done regularly just to check my B levels and everything else. I don't think people should just supplement just for the sake of it. Like if you can get it in your diet, do. But I don't think that we get enough D3 or zinc.
Yeah, I love that. It's not a sweet shop, because it's true, because when some people start with me first, the first thing they say is, what supplements do I need to take? And I'm like, well, look, I can only give you the broad spectrum, because like that, I'm not a doctor, but I can only
Yeah.
tell you what helps my clients. And generally it's
Mm.
magnesium, and that's it. And you don't
Yeah.
need anything else unless there's something, unless you do get your bloods done, where I do get my bloods done once a year, and it's generally iron. It's borderline.
Yes. Yeah.
And everything else is usually okay, but I just take magnesium, and I do take the vitamin. I'm back on the vitamin D now again, and of course we're flying it now with vitamin C here because of what's happening.
Yes.
Every morning we're whoop. So, but I
Yeah.
don't. But you don't need to be taking anything else unless you find, like for you, the purpose to take vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D, because you know
Yeah.
now that it's going to support your immune system.
Yes. Yeah. And the foods for the nervous system are really important as well. Like at the moment, because a lot of people will have a low mood and be maybe susceptible to a bit of depression. A lot of vitamin B rich foods are really good. So like they really do come from animal products like milk, eggs, meat. But one thing that they do come from is actually whole grain cereals. So like even just changing from white pasta and white rice to brown or whole grain is going to
Make a difference.
increase a little bit of your vitamin B, because you need that to help keep your mood up at the moment. It's really good for your nervous system and your mood, obviously. And we know B12 is for red blood cells and for the nervous system. So a lot of people, when they get bloods done, they actually check the B12 levels. And there is a lot of research. People who suffer with depression are usually vitamin B12 deficient. So yeah, so just to try and up the meat, the eggs, the milk, and the whole grain.
And it's funny because when people go on diets, now this is going to be up on YouTube, so you'll see my fingers going each side of my thing with bunny ears going diets. They give up bread, meat, they go, and then what happens then? They deplete their body. They're not able to keep it up. They're pulling they're not increasing their vitamin B with the meat. They give up way too much, and they're wondering then why they're getting tired and depleted and narky and depressed. And that cycle leads to eating sugar, because your blood sugar levels are low, your mood is low, and what do you look for then? Something that satisfies your cravings, which is generally shit food. So
to give you a little dopamine boost to try and improve your mood,
so
you go for the sweets and the crap.
Yeah, nothing beats a bit of an old mammy diet, mammy dinner, porridge in the morning, all that. Right, so Laura, just to recap, so for anyone that listens to this, I like what you said, that the vitamin shop is not a sweet shop, that it's not going to fix you or break you, that you need to get your good food right first and see where you need the vitamins. If it's right now immune system, your vitamin C, your vitamin D, or your zinc, but get it from food first. And then after that, then if you find that you're low on your mood, start adding in meats. The whole grain pasta is not, again, watch your portion control, because this is a fitness channel. You don't want to be putting weight on. But I did change my pastas to brown rice, my pasta to whole grain pasta. And I did change my rices to brown rice.
And porridge is full of vitamin B as well.
And I have porridge, I did this slowly over the last few weeks because I needed to adjust the kids to the pasta. So how I hide it is I make fried pasta out of it with egg and soy sauce, light soy sauce, because they'd kill me if they knew it was brown rice or brown pasta, whole grain. They'd go mad. So you can start making simple changes now, because what day have we now? Saturday. I'm going to release this podcast on the Monday, so people can start making little changes, stand in the queue, doing their breathing, lemon and water in the morning. I'll try alkaline the body, and try, if they're sitting at a desk all day, not to get out for a walk, either early in the morning because we're not commuting, lunchtime, and again the evening time for a quick 5-minute walk to reset.
Definitely,
So when we're resetting this is what I'm imagining in my head, when we're resetting the vagal nerve, if we're shining the Christmas lights too bright, we need to plug out some of them and
Mm-hmm.
reset with a
Yeah.
breathing, a nice cup of green tea or herbal tea, warm,
Yeah.
something like that, and breathe
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
leave the environment that's stressing you out and come back.
Yeah. And look, you don't need to do all of these tips because
Yeah,
then you're going to get overwhelmed.
overwhelmed.
Pick one and try it. And if it doesn't work, move on to another one. You
Yeah,
know, just there's enough tips there for something that will work for everybody. And you can keep moving around between them and try them, see
yeah.
what works for you.
See what works. I know some people love a cup of a herbal tea to reset, or a cup of tea,
Yeah.
and that's their reset button. I know for me, my reset button is a glass of water, a warm water and lemon, and a quick walk. I have to leave my environment and come back.
Okay.
So it could be anything. It could be
Yeah.
anything.
Well, to be honest, like since all this happened, I have never actually needed or craved a walk so much in my life because it's really saving me. It's keeping me so sane at the moment.
Yeah. And to keep on track of the walks and stuff like that, where can they find you to get your bracelets? Because I think they're magic. I really do. Because
Yeah.
to keeping you motivated, because you can see it in your arm.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Because like some days I'm just like working away and I'm feeling like I'm far too busy to get out for a walk. I need to finish this. I want to get it finished and then I'll go for the walk and then it's too late to go for the walk, whatever. So like when I'm looking at the bracelet, it just reminds me like you need to do this to keep yourself sane. Get out. You can finish this when you get back. So it's always a good reminder. And I have a website, www.lovejools.com, and it's LOVEJOOLS.com. And I'm also on Instagram as well, at LoveJools, LOVESJOOLS. So
Love you.
they're the two main places you can find me.
Deadly. And just before we go, the one thing that I forgot to mention, I did, but I'll just recapping it again, is you gave me a lip viral oil and the main ingredient is
Yes,
Melissa.
Melissa.
Melissa. And what does
Yeah,
Melissa do again, that oil?
Melissa is really, really good for de-stressing, and usually what triggers the cold sores or the herpes virus is stress. So what it's doing is it's just completely de-stressing you, but it's also antiviral. So it's going to keep the virus at bay as well as keeping you
Relax,
de-stressed.
de-stressed.
Yeah.
And Laura gave me this bottle weeks ago, but my daughter took it into her room.
Yeah.
So I wasn't putting it on in the mornings. So then when I could feel the tingling coming on the other day, I went, where's that bottle? And she gave it to me. So I literally am tapping it on where my cold sores in my nose and it's drying up
Yeah.
already.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
already dried up. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
already dead. It's dried up. And I start to put on the back of my neck and that little lump is going down, that stress
Good.
lump. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going down. I'm rubbing it in twice a day. I know you said once a day, but I'm kind of just...
Yeah, no, if you need it twice, it's fine. Yeah. Like the little bottle is a blend. There's a whole load of different oils in there, but the main one for cold sores is Melissa.
Melissa.
So yeah, like it's quite an expensive one. So that's why the blend is more reasonably priced because it's combined with other oils that aren't as expensive. But a bottle of Melissa is quite expensive. But if you are somebody who suffers with cold sores, it's worth the money.
It's worth the money. And then the little bottle that you gave me is called Lip Viral, isn't it?
Antiviral lip blend.
Antiviral lip blend, just in case anyone wants to look it up, and
Yes.
they'll be able to Google it themselves and get one then
Yeah.
themselves. And a little
Yeah.
droplet at the back of your neck every morning
Yeah.
prevents... It'll be like probably rubbing the oil into your Christmas tree plug-in, the vagal nerve. Relax. Yeah, Laura, you covered loads there.
Oh, I hope it's helpful. And if anybody has any questions about any of it, they can just send me a DM if they want to on Instagram. You'd always get me there.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant. I wasn't expecting that because you gave a whole insight into your pre-cancer during it and then after it. And to be honest, the stress that everyone's going through now, they need to take some of them tips on board to help relax
Definitely,
their
yeah.
nervous system, rest and digest, and storms do pass, definitely.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. We'll get over it. It's one day at a time and we'll get there.
Yeah, this time next year we'll be listening back to this podcast going, geez, do you remember when we had the pandemic?
That's true.
Laura, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast today. So Laura just said Instagram's there, Facebook's there, lovejools.com. Go give Laura a follow. Her bracelets are there as well. I think they're deadly for motivation. Or if someone is going through the C word treatment and they're getting through it and they want to motivate with walks, good food, all that, it's for everything. I think it's deadly. Yeah, weight loss, the whole lot. Laura, thanks a million for coming on. And sure, no doubt we'll be chatting again anyway in about 5 minutes. Thanks, Laura.